Hello, I'm Chloé Smith and welcome to my channel. So today I'm just going to be going through every single fragrance that's come into my life in 2023. Where it's come from, why I bought it or why I got it from someone, and what I think of it, whether it's going to stay in my life or not, or if it's already been decluttered, am I still happy with that decision? So if you like this kind of content, then please do consider subscribing if you haven't done already, and also please like this video if you do end up liking this video. So I'm Chloé Smith, I make videos all about perfume, perfume history, perfume science, perfume psychology, and I also just try to be a mindful consumer in my perfume purchasing habits. But clearly this is not really working, is it? Because I have brought in over 40 fragrances in 2023 so far, and okay, I didn't buy all of them, but clearly there haven't already been 40 weeks in this year yet. So I think that's really the reason why I'm making this video, to kind of make myself feel accountable for how much fragrance I've brought into my life, really, but also to just make sure that what I'm bringing in is stuff that I really want to bring in. So because there are quite a lot of fragrances to talk about in this video, I'm not going to linger on each one, but I will have separate reviews on some of these, and I'm sure they will feature in further videos. So if you do want to know anything about any of these fragrances that I mentioned, if I'm not detailed enough for you, please just drop me a question down below and I will try to answer it. So the first fragrance that came into my life in 2023 was Perles de Lalique by Lalique, and this one was gifted to me by Emily. So I'm going to link Emily's Instagram down below. But basically Emily wanted to declutter this one and she'd sent me a sample of it and I'd absolutely loved it. And she knew that I really liked Midnight Poison by Dior, and this one is compared to Midnight Poison. Although I don't think either of us actually think that this one is that close to Midnight Poison. But yeah, she knew that I liked Midnight Poison, and so she offered this to me and I said yes because I just really love this fragrance. This one is just really uplifting and it's fresh, and it's a sort of carbonated water and rose fragrance to me. I've been really enjoying wearing this one to work. I wore it a lot in the beginning of this year and I'm definitely very happy to keep this one in my collection. So that's Perles de Lalique by Lalique. So the next fragrance is one from Hermès, and this is from the Jardin line, and this is Le Jardin de Monsieur. So I was trying all of these different fragrances in store and I just couldn't decide which one to get. And I ended up getting Le Jardin de Monsieur, but really I could have got Un Jardin sur le Nil. I really didn't know which one to get. This is a very wet, sappy, green, almost like a Japanese garden, a wet Japanese garden to me. It's quite aromatic and it's got mint, and it's also got some white florals. It definitely is a floral fragrance, so it's a watery floral fragrance really in the main. But yeah, it's definitely got a green feel. It's a bit citrusy. Yeah, there's something about this. It's just got a very watery feel to it. I think this is typically not a fragrance that I would associate my taste with. This is very not me, this one, but it is one that I've enjoyed, especially in the hot weather. And I think I will keep this one in my collection. And I've sent a few samples to people and other people have really loved this one too. So that's Le Jardin de Monsieur by Hermès. So the next fragrance I got as a birthday gift from my husband, and he'd seen me trying a sample of this fragrance and loving it, and he asked me whether I wanted a full bottle of it, and I said, well, I've got a lot of fragrance in my life, maybe get me a 10ml, and he actually ended up buying me the 100ml bottle, so I'm sure I'll never run through this, but it was lovely of him to get me the 100ml. So this fragrance is really a very fun one. It is exactly what it says. It's a burning cherry. You get the cherry, you get the Palo Santo, and it's just a beautiful fragrance for when you're going out. It's nothing too serious, and I've just really enjoyed wearing this one and I absolutely love it. So that's Lovefest Burning Cherry 48 by Kayali. The next fragrance is one that I gifted myself for my birthday. I know that's a bit weird, but I've been wanting this one for absolutely ages, and I have the others in this range, and yeah, I just wanted Velvet Orchid. So I bought Velvet Orchid by Tom Ford. I saw this second hand and it was a bargainous price. I think it was about £40 for 100ml, and this is quite a full bottle as well. So I just grabbed it. I really have enjoyed wearing this, but I think that I still prefer Black Orchid. This one to me has a bit of a sun cream feel about it almost. There's definitely bulb flowers here. There is a little bit of an alcoholic kind of feel to it, but yeah, really it's just like quite a floral fragrance. I think, yeah, this one just isn't quite me as much as Black Orchid is, but I think this one is probably more wearable, and I have worn it quite a lot so far this year. I probably will get back to reaching for this in the autumn as well. I think this is just not a summer fragrance for me. So that's Velvet Orchid by Tom Ford. So the next one I bought was from Miller Harris, and this was actually cheaper buying a 10ml than it was to buy a sample, which is why I didn't sample this before I bought it. I was naughty and I did a blind buy. I think this is the first blind buy of this year, actually, this one. So this one to me is a iris tinged, suede-y, leathery fragrance with a sort of woody incense to it as well. I just really like this one. I think it's really one of the better Miller Harris fragrances I've tried. I did go to a shop and try literally the whole range, and this was one of the few ones that wasn't there, but I think this one actually beat everything else I tried there. I'd really recommend this one, especially if you like leathery fragrances, if those notes appeal to you. I really like the fact that I've got it in a travel spray because I don't want big bottles in my life really anymore. And this was far more economical. So I think I made the right decision here. So that's Etui Noir by Miller Harris. So this next fragrance is called Rose en Noir, and it's by Miller Harris. And it's actually one that I've already decluttered because it was an immediate dislike. And this was one that I had spotted in TK Maxx. I'd smelt it through the packaging, but not really properly smelt it. And I was still a little bit intrigued because it just sounded like something I should love. And then when I got it home, when I'd bought it online and I got it, I just didn't really like it and I didn't want it. And I really felt very silly for having bought it. Anyway, I resold it. I've got my money back from buying it. So it's all fine. But lesson learned, if I just have the slightest sniff of something and I have any qualms about it at all, I am not going to buy it in future. So that's Rose en Noir by Miller Harris. So the next fragrance is also one that I have actually already decluttered, which is terrible. So this one was called Deep Night and it's by Ghost. And I bought this because I'd heard loads of people talking about how Ghost were a really good value house. And I hadn't really tried too many. I tried Orb, I think, Orb of Night, or I think it's called, in store. And I think I tried Moonlight in store. But this one I hadn't tried, and it just sounded appealing. It sounded like a nice woody vanilla. I thought, really, is there anything I could dislike? But the thing about it was that I overlooked that it had peach. I knew it had peach, but I thought, oh, it'll be fine, and it wasn't fine. And I ended up decluttering it. So that's where that one went. I just didn't enjoy the peach in it, and there was something in the dry down that I just didn't like about it. There was something off-putting there for me. So yeah. Ghost Deep Night wasn't for me. So the next fragrance is probably one of my most successful buys of 2023 so far. It's one I've been wearing loads and loads and loads to work, and one that I had been wanting for a while. And this one is Chloé Nomade. So this is the EDP. And this one I describe as a very mossy, slightly citrusy, quite woody fragrance. It really makes me think of pine needles, this fragrance. This whole line makes me think of pine needles. I quite often think of Christmas trees with the Absolute one. But yeah, this is just a very different kind of fragrance, but it's very work appropriate, and I just have been really enjoying this one. It's something that I would never have expected from Chloé, really, Nomad. This whole line is very different for them, and I just think it's a really good fragrance, really long lasting, and yeah, one I've been reaching for loads. That's Chloé Nomad. So this next fragrance is one that I bought in a fit of nostalgia. I was just thinking about what I used to wear when I was younger, and one of the things that occurred to me was vanilla perfume oils from the Body Shop, and I just wanted something really comforting and vanilla-y from there. And I went in store and really nothing was hitting right. It just didn't seem to smell like it used to smell, and then I realised it's because they've all gone vegan. So they've changed all of their fragrances, they've all been reformulated. And I just went online and I found this old vanilla eau de toilette, and I've been really enjoying wearing this. I've been wearing this one to bed. I just find it so super comforting. And the thing I love about this vanilla is there's a little bit of like a banana-iness almost, a creamy banana kind of Angel Delight kind of smell to it. If you've tried Angel Delight, you'll know what I mean. And yeah, it's just a very nostalgic feeling fragrance to me. So that's Vanilla Eau de Toilette by The Body Shop. Next fragrance was a very naughty blind buy, but it was quite a successful one, and I'd seen it going for not very much money for quite some years actually, and I've always wanted this fragrance and I'd never bought it. So I saw it again when the price had gone up and I just bought it because I knew it was going to disappear. So this one is Pharrell Williams Girl, and this is a fragrance that I've been absolutely in love with. I don't know what it is about it, but there's something that's just kind of addictive to me. So it's a little bit of a peppery, violetty, powdery fragrance, but it's got a lot of woodiness as well. And yeah, it's just one that I've really been very surprised about. So this was a collaboration, I think, with Comme des Garçons, which is a very much more expensive fragrance brand. And this, as a celebrity fragrance, was priced very, very cheaply. I think I got my bottle, even though the price had gone up, I think it was still only about 12 or 14 pounds, I think. So really, yeah, a good value fragrance, and I really recommend this one. It's a really nice celebrity fragrance. That's Pharrell Williams' Girl. So the next fragrance is one from Mugler, and it's Angel Muse. And I bought this because I found out it was being discontinued, and I used to go and try this in store on a regular basis. This was one of the ones that I would always be spraying, and I always felt like I didn't want to own it, but I couldn't help myself spraying it. And I thought, do you know what, if it's being discontinued, I'm not going to be able to go into store and spray this anymore. So I just bought this 15ml bottle just to see how I get on with it. If I don't get on with this, I'm not going to be sentimental about it. It will be decluttered. But I'm going to see how I go through a winter with this and see how much I reach for it. So this one is a hazelnutty, chocolatey fragrance, but it also has a really kind of grounding woodiness to it as well. I think this one really is a very great example of what a flanker should be. This is true to the original. This has that vibe of Angel, but it just puts a great twist on it. And yeah, this is kind of everything that Mugler are losing, isn't it? This is what's being destroyed with the Mugler house, this kind of invention. So yeah, I just had to own this one. This is Angel Muse by Mugler. The next two fragrances came as a bundle, and so I actually only wanted the first of these two. I didn't want the second one, but it's turned out okay actually. So the first one is Lolita Lempicka by Lolita Lempicka. This is the original EDP in the original formulation, and I'd been looking at this one over the course of a couple of years. I'd never smelt it, and then I smelt it at a friend's house, and I just really liked it. And I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to get this fragrance as well, because I'd been looking at various different bottles of it, and I'd been thinking, oh, I don't really need this, oh, it's quite old, it might be off, etc. And it just smelled amazing, their vintage bottle of this. So I just went for it, and I was really pleased that I did. So this is a licorice, anise, cherry, powdery, just everything I really like in fragrance is in this bottle. It's just, yeah, it's got that really lovely muskiness in the dry down as well. Really kind of an innocence, but also a darkness in this fragrance, and that's a really striking combination. And I can see why people love this one. So that's Lolita Lempicka by Lolita Lempicka. The other fragrance that came with that fragrance in a bundle that I wasn't really that fussed about was CK Into You Her. This is a fragrance that I'd already decluttered once from my collection. I thought it smelled like latex gloves in the dry down. But actually, when I tried this bottle, this different bottle from the one that I'd previously decluttered, I was really pleasantly surprised, and it made me sort of gaslight myself and think, was I mad? I don't know, because this one just doesn't smell like I remember the other bottle at all. There's nothing latexy about the dry down in this one. It's a beautiful, creamy, soft, lemony vanilla fragrance. And it has this woodiness in the dry down that's very reminiscent of that Chloé Nomade, but just much lighter, much easier to wear, much more summery. So yeah, I recommend this one now. I've been wearing this all summer so far. So that's CK Into You Her. So the next fragrance that I picked up was actually a vintage bottle of a fragrance that I've already used up one bottle of, and I just don't really want to run out of this in the vintage formulation because I much prefer it. And this one is Angel by Thierry Mugler. This is one of the really old bottles. You can tell by the really old looking atomizer. You can probably see it better at the back there. So this, even though there's not very much left in this bottle, there's probably only about 10ml left in this bottle. It was really inexpensive. I think it was like £4 or something, £4.50, including postage and packaging. So I just went for it. So that's why I bought that one. The next fragrance that I bought for somebody's birthday, and I was looking and looking for a vintage bottle of Chloé Love. It's been long discontinued, this one, and I'd almost given up hope of finding one at an affordable price, but I did manage to find one. I was so happy. So this was a powdery floral fragrance. I've only tried it once. I didn't try it before I gave it to them, obviously. And yeah, I hope they're enjoying it. I just was so pleased to find it. So that's why I don't have that one, even though I purchased it this year, because I bought it for someone else. So that's Chloé Love. So the next two fragrances I bought online in one order from New, and the first one is Chopard's Lemon Dulce. So I tried Chopard's Love and I'd been really in love with that one, so I thought I'd try another one from Chopard. This one I don't like as much as Chopard's Love, and this one is a lemony fragrance, and I think that's really probably why I don't like it as much as Love. But this one is like almost like lemon drops. It's got a very sort of boiled sweet feeling to me in the opening, but you also get a bit of an aromatic feel as well. There's ginger, there's mint in this fragrance, and yeah, it's got a bit of a herbal feel almost. I think this one is really good for summer. I have reached for this one a bit, but I wouldn't say that I've been wearing this a lot at all. I think this one is just not entirely me again, and it's me trying to broaden my perfume taste and go into different areas of the fragrance wheel, but I don't think it's really working. So that's Chopard's Lemon Dulce. The second one that I bought was Atelier Cologne Encens Céleste. So Encens Céleste means heavenly incense. And I think this one is much more me, and I'm really happy to have an incense fragrance in my collection. So this is also quite a leathery fragrance, and it's quite a citrusy leathery fragrance as well as that incense. The incense here is more of a fragrant incense rather than something smoky. It's very much more like a, maybe churchy, a little bit churchy, but yeah, it's not dark. I wouldn't say this fragrance is dark. This is more just a leathery incense. I've been really enjoying this one, but I think that I will reach for it more when it gets cooler. I don't think this is a summer fragrance really. So that's Atelier Cologne Encens Céleste. So the next fragrance that I bought was one that I've also decluttered, and this was just a mistake from the beginning to the end. I don't really know exactly what possessed me to buy this one, but this was Floris White Rose. So the reason I bought this, I think, was because I was intrigued, because it was meant to be the fragrance that Queen Elizabeth II wore for her wedding in 1947. And from White Rose, I just imagined that it would be a very rose-dominant fragrance. And yes, there's rose there, but it's definitely not a rose-dominant fragrance to me. To me, the thing that really comes across is the carnation and the iris. And it's a very powdery fragrance, but the carnation just makes it a little bit unpleasant to me. And there's also a little bit of a soapiness as well there. I think really violet and rose for me sometimes can be tricky too. I'm not quite sure exactly what I didn't like about it, but I just didn't enjoy it. And I knew I would never wear it, so I decluttered it. So yeah, Floris White Rose, I've got my money back from it, from reselling it, but it was a naughty blind buy that I shouldn't have made. So the next fragrance that came into my life was actually a gift, and this gift was from Frances. She was over here. She lives in Canada normally. She was over in the UK, and she sent me this one through the post. And at the time, I was having some health problems or health scares, and actually opening this parcel just made me cry, because I was just so happy to have someone who cared about me enough to send me a fragrance, and that was just such a lovely feeling. So thank you so much, Frances, for sending me this, because it arrived just at the right time. So that's Dossier's Ambre Cherry, or Oriental Cherry, I think it was originally called, but they've changed the name now. So Oriental Cherry is a fragrance that is mimicking Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, and it's a very, very good dupe actually. I think this one, for me, concentrates more on the almondiness rather than the cherry aspect of Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. So it's more fitting with the dry down, I think, of the fragrance than the opening, but it's still a lovely fragrance. That's Dossier's Ambre Cherry or Oriental Cherry. So the next three fragrances, I won a competition on Instagram, and this was with Try Me First. And I would say actually Try Me First are really, really kind. The people who run Try Me First, really nice people, and they sent me these all the way from Germany. So yeah, I'd recommend checking out Try Me First. So they sent me 3 10ml fragrances. And the first one they sent me was Golden Oud by Alexandre J. So this fragrance I'm not especially keen on, and I don't expect to like things that they've just randomly picked for me. But this one is a mossy, woody oud. The oud here is it's like a mix between medicinal and woody, the oud in this fragrance. I almost like it. The beginning of the fragrance I like, and then it dries down, and I don't know, there's something about this that I'm not so sure about. So that's Golden Oud by Alexandre J. The other one that they sent me was Fladenia. So Fladenia is probably the one that I've worn the most. And this is a tropical floral. This is the kind of fragrance that is really very much something for summer. So this is something like in the vein of Terracotta by Guerlain or Bain de Midi by Maison Martin. It's one of those. It's one of those kind of tropical, summery, white floral, yellow floral fragrances that is just really good for summer. And then the third one that they sent me that I also really like, and this is probably my favourite, even though I haven't worn it as much as the other one, because I think this one just is more of an autumnal fragrance to me, or a spring fragrance maybe. And this one is Basilica by Milano Fragranzi. So this is quite an odd fragrance in a way. This is a milky, slightly metallic, incensey fragrance. And it's got this sort of herbalness about it as well. It's really interesting. And I've never smelled anything like this. And yeah, I'm really pleased to have this one. So yeah, 2 out of 3 is really not bad for a prize. So thanks very much to Try Me First for letting me win those. So the next section of my slight madness in my buying this year is really all about Dior Privé. And actually none of these were blind buys, which, you know, is a massive, massive improvement on last year, because most of last year's fragrance buying really was blind buying. I actually ended up trying all of these before I bought them. And I'm really pleased with, I would say, 3 out of the 4 that I bought. So I bought Gris Dior, which is a fragrance that I'd sampled from Lizzie back in December, and I'd just been thinking about non-stop. So I was really pleased to actually get this one into my collection, because that just sort of stopped me thinking about that fragrance. I also bought Ombre Noir, which I'm also really enjoying, and I wasn't really expecting to enjoy it quite as much as I have been enjoying it, but I think this one is even going to be even more worn in the winter. I think that the one that I'm not that fussed by, and probably might be decluttered in future, but I'm going to live with it for a while, is Holy Peony. This one I'm just not so sure about. And Jasmine des Anges is actually my absolute favourite, and the one that I've been wearing quite a lot over the summer. So I've got a dedicated review video for these fragrances, so I'm not going to linger. But yeah, that's basically what I think of the 4 of them. The next fragrance that I picked up was one from Mugler, and this is a vintage Mugler fragrance. So again, I've got a bit of a weakness for vintage Mugler fragrances, because you just can't find these anymore. They're super, super rare. And this one I've been looking for literally years, and I saw this bottle for really not very much money. I think it was like £12 or something, and I just had to have it. This is Alien Essence Absolute. So I had a sample of Alien Essence Absolute a couple of years ago, and I absolutely loved it, but I just thought there was absolutely no chance I was ever going to own a bottle of it. And I'm just so pleased to have this remnant of this 60ml bottle. So there's probably, I don't know, at least 10ml there. I'm really, really happy. Maybe there might even be 15ml in there. I'm really, really happy to have got this, and yeah, it was worth the searching, and I'm going to really enjoy this one over the winter. I'm not someone who's going to hoard this kind of fragrance. I'm just going to wear it and enjoy it. So that's Alien Essence Absolute by Thierry Mugler. That last fragrance was really where my perfume collection ended at, my perfume collection videos ended at, because I filmed them about, I don't know, maybe a month or maybe a month and a half before I actually showed them on my channel. So that's why there's these extra fragrances that aren't in my perfume collection video. So the first of the extra fragrances that I really need to talk about are these perfume oils that I got gifted to me by Luxodor. So they sent me 10 of their perfume oils for my honest review, and I've got a dedicated review video for those, so I'm not going to dwell here. But basically I liked most of them. I think there were only 2 of the 10 that I didn't really enjoy, but that was not because the oils weren't nice, it was just because they're not my taste rather than they're not nice. So yeah, I really enjoyed trying those, and I would do PR again if I got the opportunity, but I'm very picky about what I accept, and I don't want to do it all the time. So good experience, but yeah, not all the time. So the next one that I need to talk about is some Bottega Veneta fragrances. I tried these in store a couple of years ago, loved them, and then by the time I went to buy them, they disappeared, and I haven't seen them in a store since, actually. I think you can still get these online, but they are getting harder to find because it's been discontinued. And this fragrance is called Bottega Veneta EDP, and I got 2 tester bottles, and this was less money than buying a brand new 30ml, so that's why I bought the tester bottles. And also I thought, if I don't want the second one, I could always resell the second one, and that would probably pay for the first one, because these are pretty rare now. So Bottega Veneta is a suede rose fragrance. It's really the nicest suede fragrance that I've smelt in a long time. And it just is a very powdery, suede fragrance. It's exactly the kind of fragrance that I absolutely love. I would say Bottega Veneta is probably the best suede I've ever smelt. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you're into suede, buy that fragrance. I think Bottega Veneta gets compared to Dior, and I see the similarity, but I don't think that's that close. And it also gets compared to Rihanna Rogue, and I haven't smelt Rihanna Rogue, but if Rihanna Rogue smells like Bottega Veneta, then wow, because the price difference between those two fragrances is insane. I've absolutely loved these fragrances, and I've been wearing them quite a lot over the summer. It's a fragrance I took on holiday with me actually as well. So yeah, Bottega Veneta is a good one. So the next two fragrances I was gifted by a friend at work who was clearing out her fragrance collection, and she knows that I do perfume YouTube, so she gave them to me so that I could talk about them. And the first one that she gave me was Eternity Moment by Calvin Klein. So this one, I have really struggled with Eternity. I ended up decluttering it, and the reason I didn't like Eternity, I think, was because of the carnation. I did declutter that quite early on in my perfume YouTubing, so I can't really remember exactly what it was I didn't like about it. But I get a similar feeling from this fragrance, even though I don't think it shares many notes in common, but it does smell like a flanker of Eternity. It's got that hot cold thing going on, and it also has like a very watery, fresh feeling. It's very much something that makes me think along the lines of J'adore by Dior. It's clearly not the same, but it's got that wateriness, that watery feeling. It definitely also has a bit of a shampoo vibe about it, and I think that's what I'm not so sure about. So that's Eternity Moment. The second fragrance that my friend gave to me was Burberry Weekend, and Burberry is a house where I've ended up either decluttering or using up all of the fragrances that I've had from them, and I can't say that any of them have really grabbed me. There's not really been any that I've loved. And Burberry Weekend is something that I think has been since reformulated. So this is the old formulation in this old style bottle. I think they've changed the bottles now, they've reformulated it. This one, I think to me, is a little bit vintage smelling. It definitely has a bit of an indolic floral feeling to it. It also has a slightly dirty musk as well to it. It's really something that is quite strong too. You don't want many sprays of this, one or two, and this is going to last you 8-9 hours. It's a really long lasting, very strong fragrance. And it also has a little bit of a sparkliness almost to it. It's sort of, yeah, almost fizzy even actually. So yeah, fizzy, indolic, and a little bit dirty with the musk. I can see some people really loving this one. I think this is just not really for me, this one, but yeah, it's definitely a good fragrance. I can see that it's well constructed, that it's interesting, this one. So that's Burberry Weekend. So the next fragrance is one that I've been intrigued by, and I wanted to try the vintage formulation. I found an old bottle of this secondhand and I snapped it up. It wasn't expensive. And this one is YSL Cinema. So Cinema is a deep vanilla fragrance, but it also has a kind of almondiness to me, and there's also something fruity here. But really, I think it's the vanilla and the fruitiness that you smell as it dries down, really. I've not tried it too many times, so don't quote me on that. But basically, yeah, when I smell it out of the bottle, I get almonds and vanilla, but there's definitely fruitiness when I wear it. So yeah, Cinema, still trying it, like it so far. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. I don't think it's, worth finding. But I think that, I will enjoy it. I don't think it's something I'm going to declutter. So that's YSL Cinema. The next fragrance is my most recent purchase, and I bought this one, I think, at the end of July. And this fragrance is Issey Miyake's Dropped Issey. And this fragrance, I'd been considering the Eau Fraiche, and I'd been trying to decide between the two of them. And I actually finally came down on the side of this one. I think this one is just a little bit creamier almost. So this is a lilac fragrance, and it's got a slight greenness, and there's also some anise. There's also something that smells almost like a body cream or some soap in here. It's not really soap, it's more creamy than soapy. I think this one is just really nice to wear. It's just a really relaxing one. It's one you'd wear to bed, or, wear when you weren't doing anything. It's a weekend kind of fragrance. Very, very relaxing overall, and I'd really recommend this one. I've actually suggested this one to 2 people, including one person for their wedding, and she wore it to her wedding. She loved it, she bought it, she wore it, and the other person tried it and loved it too. So I think this one is just a very likeable fragrance, and if you haven't tried it, it's well worth trying, especially if you like lilac. So that's Issey Miyake's Dropped Issey. So this next fragrance is one that I won in a competition on Instagram again, and I won a competition to win some Mizensir fragrances. I think that's how you pronounce the brand. I really don't know. And I won this on the page of Alexandre Terra, I think her name is. I don't know. I'll link it down below anyway, in case I've got that wrong. But basically, I won a couple of samples and I won Golden Oud from Mizensir. And Golden Oud, I've only tried it once before, and this is only the second time of wearing it, but it's kind of a leathery, very clean oud. Yeah, uber clean oud, and it smells very warm as well. That's really all I get from this. Just a very warm, very clean, very light, very polite kind of oud. Almost a little bit clinical, almost. Yeah, I think that's about all I get from this. It's not one that I absolutely love. It's not something I hate. It's sort of a bit of a kind of fragrance, which I think this is quite an expensive fragrance, so I don't think I'll be buying a full bottle of this. But yeah, I'm quite happy to have the 8ml and try it out. So that's Golden Oud. So the final fragrance is actually one that I was gifted by Jo Malone. It wasn't specifically to me, it was an Instagram promotion, and I just happened to get lucky. I think it was selected accounts. But basically, Jo Malone were offering 3 30ml bottles, and you could choose between English pear and freesia. You could choose, I think it was lime, basil and mandarin, or the one that I got, which is pomegranate noir. I've only tried this once, so I can't really describe it yet, but from what I get in the first try of it was basically sort of cloves. And trying it again, yeah, cloves. It's very, very clovey, but it's not like, you know, a deep, heavy clove that is going to make you inhale and feel a bit sick. I'm not a massive fan of cloves, as you might be able to tell, but I don't find this off-putting. I actually think this fragrance is quite nice. There's definitely a fruitiness underneath it. I'm not sure I'd know what pomegranate smelt like, actually. I'm not sure that I would pick this out as pomegranate. There's definitely that dryness you get with pomegranate. I've only really had pomegranate in cocktails, really, so that's probably not a great experience. But yeah, I think this one just is something that I associate with Christmas. It feels quite Christmassy with the cloves. But yeah, I need to try it more and then I can probably describe it better. But that's Pomegranate Noir by Jo Malone. So that's the last fragrance in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, then please press the like button. And please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. I think really, you know, judging by my reactions to these fragrances in this video, I do really like a lot of the fragrances that I've bought myself. And a lot of the ones that I've been gifted as well, actually. And, you know, you can't control what other people buy you or gift you. And that's really a lovely aspect of this whole thing, isn't it? It's lovely to get a gift from someone. And I'm just so grateful for everything that I've received and everything that I've managed to buy this year. And yeah, I'd just love to hear what you think of your fragrance purchases. Are you sampling lots? Is it keeping itself under control? I always find that sampling is the thing that stops me going crazy with my buying habits. I'd really love to know what you think of how it's going for you this year already. I really feel like my blind buying has really decreased this year, and I'm really happy about that. And I think that's something I've really had to work on. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.